I think it's time to get into the actual defensive prospects that the Flyers might be in line to draft. The first few, it really seems as if they're going right away. I mean, yes, we know Macklin Celebrini is going one, but this Artem Levshunov, yeah, it seems like he's going 2 or 3. Levshunov, yes. My guy who I loved when you told me about him in like October, November, Anton Silayev, the 6'7" Russian dude. It looks like he's going to go pretty early. But after that, it seems up in the air, right?
Yeah, I would be surprised. I guess not completely blown away. I would be surprised if Sam Dickinson is around for when the Flyers pick. He's just, I feel like if there is a safe pick on defense at the top of this draft, and no defenseman is safe, it's really Dickinson strikes me as the guy with the highest floor, in that even if everything goes wrong, he is going to be a rock solid number 3. He's just he plays for London, so he's on the same team as Bonk and Barkey, so he's well coached, and he just does so many things well that I would be shocked if there's any chance he slips out of the top 10. The other guys, I agree that Silayev and Levshunov, I don't think there's a chance. There's no way a 6'6", 6'7" monster is getting to the Flyers at 12. Levshunov, it just strikes me that he is the consensus top defenseman in this draft. The vast majority of scouts seem to view him as the best. Buium and Parekh, though, I don't think so, but I guess it's possible.
Oh, are you okay? Yeah. We have super chats too, and I'm doing reading them and seeing when you're talking. Now I have one question about, you're saying Buium on Elite Prospects. It's the pronunciation guide is Buium. Have you heard that at all, or are you confident in Buium?
I have watched tape, and every game I've watched has called him Buium.
All right, I'm gonna go with that then. Now, Dickinson, it seems in all the mock drafts, it's yeah, we're not sure where, but he's going early because, like you said, he seems to be that safe one. Zeev, who just won, the national championship at Denver, him and Zayne Parekh, they look like guys that might go top 8 or could fall into that 9 to 14 range where maybe not that far, but somewhere near where the Flyers are going to be drafting. Is that just this is a deep draft, we don't really know, or are there red flags about some of those more top tier guys?
Look, there's red flags about almost everybody in this draft. I kind of differ from the scouting consensus in that I'm not super high on Levshunov. He deserves to be in the top 10, top 12 without a doubt, but he's not my favorite defenseman. He's not even my second or third favorite defenseman in this draft. But I don't think there's any chance he gets the Flyers, so it's almost why bother wasting time on him? They all have weaknesses, I would say. I would say Dickinson probably has the fewest weaknesses. He also doesn't necessarily have the same, in my mind, the same dynamic element to his game that a lot of the other guys have, that Levshunov has, that Yakemchuk even has. Silayev is a little bit different because with him, you're just betting on the pure upside. When I watch him, I don't see a super dynamic element to his game. I just see a fucking monster who has the physical ability to be bigger, to be bigger Victor Hedman. Now, is he going to get there? Probably not, because that would be insane. He would be a Hall of Fame defenseman. But you can dream on it. It's there. And what you're doing if you take Silayev is you're basically saying, I'm getting a guy who at the very least is going to be a perfectly fine second pair defenseman who his absolute floor is probably Tyler Myers, who I don't particularly love, but he's carved out a nice career for himself. He was on a Canucks team that was within one game of making the Final Four. So perfectly fine career. That's his floor, and his ceiling is Hall of Fame super stud who plays for 20 years. I get why he's going probably in the top 6 or 7. That makes sense to me. But if you're talking about guys like Parekh and Buium, who I love, there are some concerns about his skating. There are concerns that the way he plays, he is a guy who, at least at the college level, takes advantage of his skating, of his lateral movement, of his creativity in terms of routes and activations. And there's some legitimate concern that his skating, he will not be able to do those things at the next level. That his skating is too choppy for him to be able to gain separation at the NHL level in the offensive zone the way he does at the college level. That's a legitimate concern. I don't particularly worry about it because I think his brain is good enough. I think his hockey IQ is good enough that he'll just figure out other ways to create chances and gain separation. But I get the concern. Like, you watch him and his skating is good, but it's not holy shit good. I get it. Zayne Parekh is just defense. I mean, the guy is a dynamic offensive weapon, to be sure. He's great on so many levels, but number one, the awareness isn't great. Number two, he sometimes just doesn't give a shit about defense. Now, that can be taught, especially to give a shit. Like, you can just like John Tortorella guy to death and force him to give a shit. But I get why there are concerns, because if he ends up just being like Tony D'Angelo, then yeah, like that's not the kind of guy you want to be using the 7th overall pick on. So yeah, there are obviously concerns about these guys. Now, granted, there's a reason why all of these guys are projected to go in at the very least, like the top 13 or 14, because their upsides are through the roof. Like Zayne Parekh has, high end power play one, top pair, 70 point a year upside. Like that is his upside. Maybe even higher than that. Like he could be a dynamic game changer who just every time he's on the ice, you're terrified that he's going to do something cool. That could be who he is. Zeev Buium could be a, 26, 27, 28 minute a night guy in the playoffs who like Zeev Buium. One thing that excites me about him, the one guy I saw a little bit of when I watched him, when I was watching him on tape, he reminds me a little bit of Chemo. And that's enticing to me. Just with the brain, the way he thinks the game, the way he seems like 1 or 2 steps ahead of everyone. Like those are the kinds of defensemen that I love. And I think that's why he excites me as much as he does. But I can understand why people might watch him that are a little bit more focused on like athletic tools and might not be as high. I get it.
I will say, like, when you mention things like, yeah, Zayne Parekh, maybe he just doesn't give that much of a shit about defense. I always say, like, well, if you're on offense that much, it doesn't matter. But, yes, there are things that might just kind of be inherent skills. Like you said with Sanheim, like recognizing the coverage and what the offense is trying to do to you a lot of the time. Like, and just, we saw with Gostisbehere, you're just too small. Like, you're going to get muscled off the puck in certain defensive situations, and hopefully the things you do well make up for that. So much of defense is just giving a shit about it, though. Like, if you can get a guy to care, like Travis Konechny didn't care about defense, and now he does, and he's a legitimate weapon on the penalty kill. Is he an awesome, oh man, yeah, he's Mark Stone out there? No, he's not. But he's not hurting you. Like, you can at least teach a guy to care enough. Like, okay, this is what you have to do to play enough defense to get by, and then let your offensive skill do the talking. Like, that sort of thing. I mean, if it's an attitude issue, some guys are just assholes, but you can instill the importance of defense in players. I think this coaching staff in particular, it might be one of the things they're most adept at doing. I want to get to this one super chat here. That first one we'll do a little bit later, but this one, he says, we can get to the, okay. Inexplicably, all of Catton, Yakemchuk, and Dickinson are available at 12. Who are Bill and Charlie taking, assuming they've kidnapped Danny Briere and now they're the GM? So it's Dickinson, Yakemchuk, and Berkeley Catton, all available at 12. GM Charlie O'Connor, who would be your guy?
I think my guy would be Berkeley Catton right now. Now, if my scouts tell me he can't play center and that he's a wing at the NHL level, then I probably go like I have Dickinson and Yakemchuk kind of on the same level. I would probably go Dickinson just because I think he has the ceiling to be a number one, but he also has a higher floor than Yakemchuk. So I probably go Dickinson if my scouts tell me Catton's just a wing. If my scouts believe he's a center, I'm going Catton all day.
Okay. Dickinson, like, I know he's supposed to go earlier, like based on, the mock drafts that we've seen, pretty much the consensus. But because of that, I haven't paid nearly enough attention to Dickinson. My guy is Yakemchuk, but
stick with it, Bill.
It's 1B is Berkeley. Like, if he goes 11, I know in this hypothetical all three are there, and then I'm like, who the hell got drafted in the first 11 picks? But if all three are there, it's Yakemchuk is 1 and 1B. It's like, oh, they took Berkeley Catton. Like, I didn't get my guy, but sometimes a chicken cheesesteak is just as good as a cheesesteak. Sometimes it's better.
It can be amazing.
Sometimes it's better. But
sometimes you just need some chicken.
Sometimes you just need some chicken.
We all silly like the mayor.